Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Scenic View podcast. I guess it's not really a special edition, but it's the finance edition of the Scenic View podcast. We got some very smart money people in the house, and we're going to talk to you about a special program that's going on right now. Enjoy the show. Jonathan Owens, by the way, the communications director here at Scenic, with Artis Watkins, the executive director, and Sammy Klein, our podcast producer. But we also have some special guests. Stacy Walker from the State Employees Credit Union is here with us. And also, we brought in the big guns for financial talk. Brenda Williams-Brown, the CFO of Scenic, is here to explain all the
one who keeps us in line.
Yeah.
But I do fear that you probably made some people bored already, and they might have left. Because you said this is going to be finance.
They were like, click. Finance, click.
If you haven't left yet, this is about how to make your money go farther, potentially.
We're excited about the program that the credit union is offering this year, yet again, for state employees to kind of bridge the holiday gap that came about because of the change in the pay schedule, I guess, for state employees.
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago on the podcast, but last year, for the first time in as long as we can remember, and I can remember about 25 years, but state employees had always been paid early in December to make things a little easier for December.
Yeah.
Did it make January hard? Absolutely, but they were used to it.
Correct. Yeah.
So they were notified, I believe, in August of the change.
Okay.
And that concerned us as an organization because we thought, oh my goodness, people probably haven't prepared. Well, they haven't prepared because they didn't know it was coming. So, Brenda, you can take it from here in terms of, if you don't mind, about what we did at that point and then what our great friends at the credit union have done.
Yes, the state employees were given that very short notice about this significant change in the pay cycle. And so our partners at the credit union reached out to us, as they do, caring about state employees and what they could do to help bridge that gap for employees who were kind of thrown for this loop, and came up with some great strategies, as they always do, to make it easier for state employees and affordable. And so we heard a lot about it last year. I think there were some questions about the product, so we love to hear what that product is this year, and if there are any changes from last year, if you'd like to just share.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited that you guys invited me to talk about this program a little bit. As someone who grew up with two parents who combined served over 70 years for the state of North Carolina, I understand what this pay shift did, because they were both accustomed to getting paid early in December. And you're right, Artis, it does make it sometimes a little challenging at times by the time you get to the end of January. But that's what you've budgeted for years. And so it was kind of a short-term shift. So we got together, several of us in loan administration, as well as the executive team, and said, okay, let's brainstorm how we can do something, and we can do something quickly for this. So what we ended up doing is we set up a special loan program just for state employees who were accustomed to getting paid early in December, but we're making the adjustments to getting paid at the end. And it is a $1,000 personal loan that you have a payback period of up to 6 months, and it is a fixed interest rate at 5%. And so we had a really good response last year. We had almost 1,500 state employees reach out and take advantage of that program. So we were so excited that we were able to help bridge that gap for some folks. So one of the changes we made this year is last year, because it was kind of a quick program we put together and didn't have all the time to make all of the systematic changes we need to do. All of the applications were directed solely through our contact center. So you had to basically call in and do the application there. This year, we've made some changes where you can also go online and make that application too. So you just put in a little quick December pay in the comments period, and we know exactly what you're asking for, and we can process it. It kicked off Wednesday, December 10th, and we've already seen applications starting to come in on the first day the program was offered. Awesome. So it will be offered through the end of December, and hope that this will help provide some financial assistance for state employees through December.
Yeah, we posted it on our social media, and we got a lot of interest, a lot of likes, a lot of hearts. So people are very excited about the program. And we have the full instructions on how to take advantage of it on our website as well on the homepage. You call this lending contact center, or you can go online and do it.
Or go online.
Yes.
Yep. So that gives you the flexibility to apply 24 hours a day, whatever suits you best.
Now, do they have to take out the full 1,000 or is it?
No, it's
Okay.
up to $1,000.
Up to $1,000. Okay.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So, Stacey, can you talk about the application process itself? Because I think there were some questions last year. People thought they just automatically qualified for it. And so they were a little surprised and disappointed if there were cases where they didn't qualify for the loan or they got denied. Can you talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. So it is still fully going through a full application process. So it is, what does your credit look like? What is your income? What is your debt to income ratio? And so it is applying for like you would any other type of loan. There is a little bit of flexibility in that because it is a small dollar loan. But the last thing we want to do is someone who already has several loans out there with us or with someone else, we don't want to put them into a situation where another loan becomes unaffordable for them. So it does go through the same underwriting criteria that any other loan does.
That's good to hear. Do you have, and maybe you don't have this information, but approximately how many people apply that maybe got turned down for it?
That I do not know right off the top of my head. What I will say is that our lending staff, regardless of what channel you go through, whether you are calling our contact center, you're going online, or you're going into our branch, one of the things we like to say is it's not a no, it's just a not now. And so our staff is really good at helping educate members when they do come in for a loan and it's not now, of why it's not now and what steps are needed so it is a yes later.
Yeah, I'm a member of credit union. I've always loved the way you guys work with folks on their loans. Especially, I mean, even me, I've even had loans in the past when I still have my house with you guys and everything.
And we thank you for that.
Oh, I thank you for that. But now you do have to be on
direct deposit
for
Correct.
this to take place.
Yep.
Does that for every system? Is that available? Say like teachers, Beacon, and I guess there are other. What about retirees? Does it?
No, because the retirees are not impacted by the change into the early pay period. It's still a good question, though, because there were several folks who did reach out asking that very question. One spouse might be retired, but one's still employed, and they were asking if they were both eligible. Yeah. So that's a very good question. It is, you do have to be on direct deposit, and it is for monthly pay period. Okay. So you were accustomed to getting paid somewhere around December 12th, 15th, 17th, and now you're getting paid the last day of December. This is what that program is targeted for, to help support those state employees, which do include teachers, public school teachers.
So on our website, I guess the information I got from you guys that we posted, it does have an example of if you take $1,000 out at 5%, you would have 5 monthly payments of $169 and a final payment of $168.33. So if you are wondering how you can budget this, you have that as an example, right?
Mm-hmm. And I will add, too, that if you do take the 1,000 out and you get to early January and you're like, you know what, I'm good to go, or February, there are no prepayment penalties. You can pay this loan off early at any time, or you can choose to take the full 6 months.
So if someone went out to a payday lender or a short-term lending like this program or, similar to this and wanted $1,000 for 6 months, I mean, the interest rate would likely be way higher, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You will see short-term payday programs that you can see interest rates charged in the 20s and the 30%.
Yeah.
I will say even the 5% currently, that is lower than our current personal loan interest rate. It's lower than our credit card rate. So 5% is very, very competitive.
Yeah.
It's actually lower than some of our current auto rates if you are financing out for the 72-month or the 96-month term. Yeah. So 5% is, I think you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find somebody to be able to beat that.
So if someone says, the credit union's just trying to make money off of us, you guys are not making a lot of money off of this, are you?
We are not. We are not. What we wanted to do was be able to provide a program to assist state employees as best we could by being able to balance a little bit of risk in there. So yep.
Yeah. And I think that's just amazing, especially you don't see that from a lot of financial institutions these days, right? But our credit union has always been helpful. I mean, it's in your name, right? State employees. So
That's
you have to
correct.
take care of.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's the value to our state employees and members is that relationship. And so with that in mind, this is a great product to help bridge that gap. But I wonder if you will talk about thinking back about the financial literacy piece in my days in the treasurer's office and the partnership with the credit union. One of the important things to help people understand is that loan is a great resource. Use it wisely to help make the holidays more cheery for your family and then pay that down. But the wisely using that money is the important piece. So talk about some ways for our members, even if they get that loan, to use the funds wisely so that they don't end up in situations where you have what I call the holiday hangover is the bills come due still. Even if you've spent that money, maybe splurging for the holidays, but the recurring bills still come due.
Correct.
In January. But just talk about some tips that you might suggest for people to think going into the holidays, how to make it a merry holiday season and not have the after holidays hangover with your finances.
That's a really good question about that. I would say one thing is, we do offer this program, but make sure, one, you think that you really need the program. Like, don't just take the $1,000 out for the sake of taking the $1,000 out. Kind of have an idea of what that might be earmarked for. And then also take a look at what your monthly take-home pay is and go ahead and take a look at what you are paying monthly. Those mortgage payments, those cell phone payments, cable payments, things of that sort that, like you said, are occurring every month. They're not stopping because the holidays are here. And then taking a look at what that payment is and being like, okay, well, this will fit in my budget, or maybe it won't fit in my budget. And then also know that if you get to a point where you are in that little bit of a holiday hangover and you do need more than that $1,000, come to State Employees Credit Union. Walk into your local branch, give us a call at the contact center, apply online, and we'll take a look at potentially what else you might need past that $1,000. And then there's also great financial education tools on our website. It will help you kind of look at a budget. It will help you see where are you spending your money. I have done that before. It's a little eye-opening at times when you just don't really, you swipe that debit card pretty quickly and you don't always think about what you're spending on at times.
Brenda, your pre-state employee existence there was some financial literacy in there, right? And you're very complimentary of what they...
Right, in that we work together with the credit union quite a bit and doing those financial education sessions to help people think about the big picture of your finances, not just the short-term need, but your long-term financial goals. And so I think the credit union is a great partner to look at that big picture, from the mortgage to the auto to the everyday financial planning. And you've got some great products, and so I'd love to hear more about some of those products. And so as they get through the holidays this season, being able to be more planful with some of the other products that you have, like I think you've got a Christmas loan or the summer loan. Not the loans, the savings programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you would talk a little bit about those, that they can be more proactive in planning for expenses and saving with that in mind.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot of different information on our website, so I don't want to try to spend 4 hours talking about everything that I think is great that we offer. So I'll kind of hit it.
You can come back.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Think there's a lot our members would want to hear from the credit union and understand that they have this credit union. If there aren't, I think most state employees are using it, but some may not realize why.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
But if you can hit some highlights today, we'd love to have you back to talk.
Oh, I'd love to. Love to. So a couple of things. One, something else that we just kicked off December 1st. And right now we are scheduled to run this through January 15th of 2026. And I think it was kind of touches back to your point of the holiday hangover and trying to budget a little bit is, lots of times dealers start pushing out their end of year savings. Like now's the time to buy a car. And that can hit a budget pretty hard. Cars are not cheap anymore. And so one of the things we are doing is that if you financed your car, do a purchase, or you are bringing your external refinance. So you've had it financed with the car manufacturer or another financial institution and refinancing it to State Employees Credit Union, we will give you a grace period up to 90 days before your first payment's due. So trying to help you get over that hump of holiday, especially if you're taking advantage of end-of-year deals with the dealer. So that's another thing that we're doing. I mean, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention, just from a lending standpoint, that back about mid-2024, we introduced a 0.5% interest rate reduction on auto lending and closed-end consumer loans for state employees and retirees for this, which has been amazing. So as you're listening to this podcast, you're like, oh, maybe I'll go look at a car. Make sure that when you look at the interest rate, you take 0.5% off the interest rate on our website if you're a state employee or retiree. But when I looked at the stats I think it was the end of October, over 41,000 state employees and retirees had taken advantage of that 0.5% discount in an 18-month term.
Awesome.
And with that, just 0.5% discount, that's over $3 million worth of interest savings that we've been able to provide to state employees. So I think that's some really good things. And then to your question too, we offer a holiday cash account. So you can set a predetermined amount that transfers every month into a holiday savings account. And we pay an interest rate on that the whole time, and it continues to accrue throughout the year. And so at the end of October, last day of October, we will transfer it typically into your checking account. So now you've already saved up money, kind of out of sight, out of mind, and you have some cash, I would say, ready to start your holiday shopping. And then for teachers who don't get paid 2 months out of the year, they're on the 10-month pay cycle, which my sister falls into that category, is we also offer a summer cash account. And so you can have X amount of money deducted from your paycheck, and we direct it directly to that savings account. And so then and I know it depends on the school system as to which 2 months you're not getting paid, but we will divide that up plus the interest that's accrued, and we will put half of it in your checking account for 1 month and half of another. So it's basically like you've gotten still 12 paychecks throughout the year. So those are just a few things that we do.
That one is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that would be everybody in a public school system,
Mm-hmm.
really. I guess there might be some 12 months.
I think admin
12
stuff, yeah.
Some, but
Yeah.
I know like the teaching assistants, for instance.
Mhm.
And we're hearing from everybody now
Mhm.
because they didn't get raises
Mm-hmm.
and their health plan's gone up.
Yeah.
So have y'all had more calls from people about products in general to try to help them through these times, or has that not hit quite yet?
From a lending standpoint, I would say that's not hit quite yet. But I would say we stay very in tune to listening to our members, especially state employees, making sure we are delivering products and services that are needed.
I'm excited about I'm not buying a car, but I would be. I think I've taken advantage of that before. I think you did like 45 days without a payment, and now it's $90.
We're doing 90 days just for this December 1st to January 15th. But
That's awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's like 3 months of your
Yeah.
payments you're missing. So you
That's
can
right.
save up.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
With the pressure of costs rising right now, just that amount of time, just giving a state employee to breathe.
Yeah.
And it is such a benefit.
Especially when you're, like you said, coming out of the holidays and having that holiday hangover, kind of gives a little bit of wiggle room per se.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw a stat this week that like 80% of people making less than like $200,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. So I think we're all hanging on, so anything we can have like this to help is great.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to mention?
And, we go to your annual meetings, Artist and I, each year, and I'm always hearing something new that you do that is pretty amazing to me.
Mhm.
Another program I think that we'd love to hear about in the future is I didn't realize the credit union has rental properties.
Yes.
And again, with the other thing that's
Mhm.
continuously rising is the
Yeah.
cost of living. And rent being one of those things
Yeah.
that not everybody wants to buy a home.
Correct.
And not everybody is positioned to be able to afford purchasing. And so
Mhm.
affordable rental
Mhm.
housing is so important. And our state employees, certainly as their salaries are flat, another great benefit that didn't know anything about until hearing it at the annual meeting.
Yeah. So twofold, if you are in the market and looking to do home ownership, we do offer 100% financing. For first-time home buyers, we also will loan up to an additional $2,000 to assist with closing costs. And we do not assess private mortgage insurance on that,
Yeah.
which to me is
Favorite part.
yeah. So there is that aspect. But like you said, not everyone wants to be a homeowner. Sometimes it's not the right time for them either. And we started what we call Secure, which is State Employees Credit Union Real Estate. We started that when we were having to, unfortunately, do foreclosures. That just happens with any financial institution. But the last thing we wanted to do was, there was such an influx across the United States of foreclosures, is, you saw a lot of other financial institutions not working on those properties to get them ready for sale or whatever. And, that impacts your neighbors when your house is well maintained and then there's somebody who hasn't taken care of their lawn in 6 months. And so we decided, instead of selling those homes, we would start renting them. And so when there happens to be a foreclosure, and we have done some independent purchases as well, we go in, we have a completely different team, and they go in and they rehabilitate those homes and they get them ready for marketable rent. And there have been amazing properties that I have seen transformed by State Employees Credit Union's real estate team secure. So it's great. And you can go into any branch and ask if there are rental properties in the area, and they can provide you a listing.
So did you have people who went through foreclosure and then rented the same house? Okay.
No, we did not.
My wheels were turning there.
Yeah, no, we did not.
Okay. I have one final question. It's kind of a crazy question, but you were mentioning about calls, and that triggered something in my mind. We get lots of calls for the credit union. We get a lot of people who say, "Are you the credit union?" when they call. Does that happen on your end? Do you get a lot of scenic calls?
I'm thinking one of us is massive and one of us is not.
Yeah,
So I
would love
doubt
to
it.
know if one of your employees has ever gotten a call that's like, "Is this the State Employees Association of North Carolina?"
I'm not going to say never. I personally have not, but I'm not going to say never.
Yeah.
It could happen.
It could happen. You're right.
Let me
Especially with like the theme parks. I
step
bet
out
it's
and make a
happened.
call right quick.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us, and we're very excited about the program again this year. I've just been Stacy Walker, the Chief Lending Officer for the state. I don't think I said your title beforehand. I'm sorry about that, but thank you so much for joining us, and have a great holiday. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, you're not going to make her stay and go through
Oh.
the final?
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Yeah,
I usually have a question of the week.
depends how nice he wants to be to a guest. He was being nice to you.
I was
Don't
trying
do
to
it.
let you
Don't
escape.
do it.
The artist called me out.
No,
Yeah.
before we even get to that, though, I know Brenda probably wants to say something similar, but I just want to thank you on behalf of all state employees and on behalf of the association, because y'all are the best partner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you really do care about state employees. And now, look, we gave y'all trouble. We gave y'all for real trouble a few years ago, and we meant it. But y'all, number one, didn't give up on us in terms of making sure we understood where you were coming from on the loans. But also, you looked at what you knew you needed to do from a business perspective for the credit union and for the members, and said, is there any way we can adjust that? And you did. You made you listened to your constituency. You listened to your members. That shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. And I really just, from the bottom of our hearts, want to thank you for that, because y'all are amazing to work with from a policy standpoint. If y'all were a state agency, you would be the gold star.
I bet a lot of people think you are a state agency.
A lot of people do think I'm a state employee.
Yeah, me too. Us
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Really do. And I'll say, from my standpoint, that was something that we continued to look at and evaluate and reevaluate. And I would still say that, with any change, not just those changes from a couple of years ago, we always analyze and reanalyze, because life changes, the economy changes, state of North Carolina changes. And if we were to say, well, it's fine, then I don't think we'd be where we are. And we always want to
Right.
make sure that we are providing the products and services that our members need.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree. And I would just reiterate, thank you for being responsive to
Mhm.
state employees. And that's what I've seen all along. There's an issue, it's the credit union steps up, and often first to step up in reaching out to the state, reaching out to us to say, how can we help? How can we be of service to the members? And we appreciate that responsive.
And Lee, we appreciate Lee Brady.
Mm-hmm.
The
I do
CEO.
too.
She's the CEO of the credit union, and I know that her team is a great team, but I am always moved at the annual meeting by Lee's commitment. She really
Mhm.
clearly has a commitment to the folks who are all of the members of the credit union. They don't have to be state employees or retirees, but I do feel like there is the awareness that the credit union started with
Mhm.
state employees and retirees, and that's great to be able to remember that, but to serve everybody.
Yep, I agree with that. And we appreciate the partnership with you guys as well. Very much do.
Okay, question of the week.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
So I was thinking of a financial related question, and this one kind of came to me because I have an answer. I don't know if you guys will, but maybe. When did you personally realize that you needed to be financially literate? Or when did you first start thinking about your own finances? And is that a question that's any
yeah.
good? Okay.
Good question.
Okay. So I'll have an answer. So when I was in college, I got all these credit cards that were like, here, we'll give you a free shirt if you sign up for this credit card. And, I'm a stupid college kid and I did it. And like these credit cards came with like Sports Illustrated subscriptions, which automatically make a charge on that card, right? So you automatically have a payment. So, I realized then that I need to be serious about things like credit cards. And I'm not always done a good job at it, but I think that has been kind of regulated now. So to an extent, right? But I think that was the real tipping point for me when I realized that I need to be serious about finances. I bet you were way earlier than that.
No, actually. I fell into that same trap. And I think the regulation has happened with these credit card companies targeted kids on campus because for a lot of us, we didn't know anything about credit. We thought money grew on trees because our parents gave us what we wanted and needed. We really had conversations about money and limitations and credit scores and those things. So you get to college as a freshman and then they're on campus wanting to basically give you money, plastic money, lend you money.
And a free T-shirt.
And a free T-shirt.
Or maybe a Frisbee or something.
You apply for this
Sometimes a
credit card.
pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. And what
important.
college student isn't needing food?
Right.
And so they had all of the, the things to entice you into applying for and issuing that credit card to you with you having no understanding of the consequences.
Yeah.
So it was some time after that when the first credit card bill comes due.
Yeah. And your mom was like, what is this?
Yeah. So unfortunately, that is for a lot of people, a lot of kids, because I think we grew up not talking about money.
Yeah.
And it was actually inappropriate for adults to have conversations with their kids as I was growing up about money and financial challenges of the family. They kept those kinds of things from the kids. And I think it was unfair for them not to understand that, again, money doesn't grow on trees and there are budgets that you have to maintain to keep the bills paid and the lights on. And
I wonder if we didn't talk about it with our parents because our parents didn't have the same pitfalls and scams out to get them that we did when we were in college. I don't know if they were doing this same thing.
I don't know if necessarily that was a reason. I think in my household, it was parents didn't want kids to worry. They didn't want you burdened with the responsibilities of, how the bill's going to get paid, how we're going to keep the lights on and food on the table. So I think it was more trying to protect us from the financial challenges. But the downside of that is you didn't go into college with an understanding of the responsibility of money. Then you had this responsibility and this credit card. So you had this power to spend in your hand without understanding of the consequences.
It was like Monopoly money.
Yeah.
Oh,
wasn't
really?
even real, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't real until the bill came due.
And just one more thing before I move to y'all. So I have a kid in college now. And so when he gets like a solicitation in the mail, I throw it immediately away.
Right.
Yeah.
Well played.
So what was the turning point for you? Or I guess maybe you've always been interested in this.
I started working at 14. Yeah, without a worker's permit. I'm a little older than that now, so we'll just ignore that. But my parents didn't really talk about like budgeting and like their bills and stuff. But when I started getting that, my mom said, you've got to put a little bit aside. You can't this isn't just play money forever. And then once I turned 16, I had 2 jobs at 16 all the way through college. I started at the credit union a long time ago. And when I worked at the credit union for the first 2 years, I had a second job.
Wow.
And so from that age at 14, it was always, you got to set a little bit back. Like you just don't spend all your paycheck because you don't know what you're going to need tomorrow. And I grew up with 3 other sisters. And I can still remember in 7th grade, I wanted this pair of looked like paint splattered Nike tennis shoes. And I did not play sports. And my parents were like, you don't play sports. You don't get $100 pair of shoes when you don't play sports. And so I realized that if I wanted something like that, I had to try to figure out how to save. So it was birthday money, Christmas money. And so I feel like I learned it on at a young age, but maybe indirectly.
Yeah.
But I also admit I was one of those credit card pushers on campus.
Oh, no.
Stacey,
You giving out free t-shirts? You probably gave me my free t-shirts.
you could have just joined the track team or something.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
thinking.
not you.
I was thinking
Yeah,
you
you're right.
should have gone out for
Yeah.
basketball or something. Right.
And I'm
Shoes,
wondering,
at least.
sneakers were only $100.
I know, but that still seems a lot to me at $100.
It
But you're
was,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Artists, you still haven't.
I had the opposite experience, which is kind of comical, but Brenda Williams Brown, who's the most like financially all over it, rigid person I know, which is great, which is great.
Kind of what you want in your CFO.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it
what I
is
was
what
that's
you want in a
makes good
CFO. And it's funny to me to hear her say she got into all those credit cards and everything, because my mom did talk to me about, there was a lot of things she wouldn't talk to me about, but I'm telling you, from the time when the checking account was open, you need a checking account. And then let me see what your check register looks like to see if you're appropriately putting it in there and whatnot. And then she was smart. She said, I'm going to help you with college. But if I find out you got a credit card or, I wanted a debit card. No, you don't need a debit card. What do you need it for?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It might not have
that's
been the
awesome.
world's best way to do it, but she's like, if you want me to keep helping,
No,
Yeah.
that's
these are the parameters. And of course, I was like, of course I want you to keep helping because I don't want to do it. And so that's how it was kind of not kicking and screaming, but a
so.
bit of threat.
I bet you were like me and you thought you had a mean parents. And then
She knew it wasn't.
And then you realize as an adult, you're like, wow, they know what they're talking about.
She knew that those were not natural traits in me, the organization. And
Yeah.
she knew.
So that's our episode, our financial episode for the week. I think the takeaway here is the loan is there if you need it.
That's right.
Don't take it out unless you need it. And you have to repay it, as we just talked about, because of financial literacy. But
I hope you will come back and talk
I would
about
love
more,
to.
because
Thank
I have even more questions based on all
Yeah.
of that. So
we need to have the financial episode of the month, and we'll just have
credit unions, but right?
Brenda Williams Brown hosted every month. So, no, I don't know about that.
if there's a demand, she's shaking her head. But if there's a demand for that out there, if y'all want to hear more Brenda Williams Brown, just let us know. We'll make it happen.
All right. Thank you. Have a great week.